you must want something different.
So hey, what's going on, y'all? So for those who don't know me, I am Jaren LeGrier, voice teacher, speech trainer, and founder and owner of the Jaren M. LeGrier Studio. And in this video, we're going to do some folk who are amazing. I've analyzed one of them before, but I haven't analyzed the other one yet. You all have requested her, so I wanted to analyze both of them in this video. So in this video is Jazmine Sullivan and H.E.R. They both are phenomenal artists, and I'm so excited to analyze Jazmine again and to actually get to analyze her. I know y'all have requested her 1.5 million times, and I'm so excited to finally get to her. So let's cut to the chase. Here's Jazmine Sullivan and H.E.R. singing Girl Like Me at the NPR Tiny Desk concert.
I made a profile on Tinder, said you left me to be with her. Think that means I'm getting desperate. Wish I could return the sender, but
what I love about what she does is that she really sings from a raw place. Jazmine does. She sings from a raw place. And another thing that I've noticed about Jazmine is her physical approach, especially in this video for some reason. If you notice, her jaw is kind of up, her neck is kind of extended a little bit. I think that contributes to what we love about Jazmine Sullivan's sound in terms of the rawness and the raspiness and those things. Because if you think about it, changing your neck position will change how your voice sounds. So I want to show you real quick a little bit of how that can happen. So I'm going to sing a note and I'm going to raise my neck and see how the sound changes, okay? So here we go. So I didn't change anything about the note or the pitch. I didn't change anything about how I shaped in terms of articulation. I said a very regular ah, but when I extended my neck and I went up a little bit, the sound changed and it got a little more raw. I think that's part of the magic that is Jazmine Sullivan. Now let me say this, I'm not taking none away from that gift that she has. She is gifted, she is skilled, but I just thought about how that neck position could be contributing to the magic that is her voice, you know? And so I think that jaw extension right here, the neck kind of being up a little bit, the jaw being raised a little bit, it's giving her a little more rawness and more richness in that way, because her voice is not necessarily raspy, it's more so the rawness of how she approaches her singing. But I think, like I said, I think all of this is a magic that is Jazmine Sullivan, or part of it. You know, I'm not even talking about the riffs and runs and the skill and the control that she has. I'm just considering more so her technique, how she physically approaches singing, especially in a setting like this.
don't love me no more. I don't even know what for. Yeah. Knew it was real when you blocked me. Sit it on judging my body.
So you notice her articulation got a little more darker here in the second part of this first verse. The first part is a little more brighter, it's a little more serene, a little more chill, laid back. But this second part of the first verse, it got a little more darker. Bung me, blung me. So she kind of got a little more darker. The lips didn't move as much. The jaw kind of stayed here. The head kind of came down. So then it got a little more warmer because the head came down a little bit more, but it kind of went back up towards the end. So she almost changes her head position to really give different vocal textures and colors to what she's doing during the song, and during any performance. I think she really does.
Wondering what I did to lose you. Why in the hell you ain't you me?
So right here she's singing right through her teeth, but she's still articulate. You can hear everything she's saying, but she's using her teeth as kind of a way to color what she's doing in this song and in this part of the song right here.
You don't love me no more.
And the whole singing through teeth thing really helps a little more of the nasal forwardness that she has in her voice. There's a little nasality, a little forwardness that she has in her voice. You hear my voice kind of change when I sing through my teeth to kind of scrunch my face up. That's almost an approach to help her keep her sound forward a little bit. And it's giving her some good vocal texture and some good vocal coloring.
I don't even know what for.
So instead of what for, so it's what for. I messed up that run. But anyway, but see what I'm saying? It's kind of fa instead of for. So she's really using some vowel and articulatory modification to really paint the song the way she wants to paint it.
You must want it. wanted something different, still don't know. I was missing, but you asked, I would've given. It ain't right how these hoes be waiting, why they be waiting.
There's that larynx drop again. When with that breathiness, with the aspiration in there at the end. When so if you notice that color of the voice change when her larynx dropped, it kind of got even more darker. And she really has a cool way of just using her articulatory resonance body to really give the color that she wants depending on the song, you know? So it's really cool.
No hope for a girl like me. How come they be waiting?
Did you just hear that? No, yeah. So she really went down with her larynx right there, and she really kind of let the aspiration, the breathiness kind of take over. Breathiness is not bad. Breathiness is not bad. Intentional breathiness is a vocal coloring, a quality that you can use to give your song whatever you want to give it to, whether it's, you know, intimacy, whether it's sadness, I don't know, whatever word you want to use depending on the song you're singing or what you're speaking. But breathiness in and of itself, intentional breathiness is not a bad thing. I think people equate breathiness to poor vocal technique. Now, it's not necessarily poor vocal technique. You can have a vocal issue with breathiness, that could be something, but if it's intentional, if you want to put that breathiness in there, it's not a bad thing to do. Just know how to do it and understand why you're doing it to make sure it's intentional and not so much I don't know how to not do it, if that makes sense. And she is using the aspiration and breathiness that she wants to really give the song, you know, what it needs.
I ain't wanna be, but you gon' make a hoe out of me. Yeah, you gon' make me a gold digger. Maybe I should look like a stripper, wearing fashion over dresses. Why these dudes be so pressed and impressed with it?
I love the timbre, the quality of her voice. She's gonna give you what she's gonna give you, and she's sitting there on that stool with that guitar and she's just vibing out, and I love that. And I love that her voice has a clarity about it. There's a clarity, there's a richness and an intimacy about her voice that I think is unparalleled in many ways, on top of the content that she writes and the art that she presents to the world. I think that her voice itself is just so controlled, but it's so simple. And the simplicity of her voice in this aspect shows you how good of an artist she is. Because those who make it look easy, but it's really hard to do, just shows you how good and how talented, how gifted of an artist she is, you know? And so I'm enamored by her texture and her vocal coloring.
Leave me with no choice. Oh.
And if you notice, she has a little bit of a jaw extension forward a little bit. So she's almost articulating some of the notes in her runs with her jaw a little bit. Jazmine does a little bit too, but I think the jaw extension kind of gives a depth, a warm depth, if I can say it like that, to her, both of their voices, but to her voice in particular, because she's singing right now, it kind of gives a warm depth to her voice. And it gives that rawness. It gives that rawness, that jaw is giving that rawness that we all love about both of these artists.
I can't do this good girl shit no more.
So she came from that head voice, and I'm not gonna try to attempt that run. I am not a runner like them. But she came down from head voice, switched registrations to chest voice, but articulated the run down. And I don't even call it a run. I mean, it is a run, but I would even call it an embellishment or something. Melisma, I don't know, I would call it something more than a run, because it was more because how she placed it. It wasn't just a scale, it was a very intentional placement of the voice, and that just shows you how much control she has. So she came from head voice in the run, switched to chest voice, but the chest voice wasn't super big or heavy or loud. Chest voice was still there, but it still flows seamlessly from the head voice. A lot of times I get people in my studio who want to say, I want to build up my head voice, I want the transition to be smooth, I want the transition, you know, between chest and head voice registrations. But I think sometimes people over pressurize registrations. I think think that people think when I'm a chest voice, I gotta be big all the time, or in my head voice, I gotta be small, I gotta be soft. No, if I don't belt out my chest voice or just sing in my chest voice, the softness of the head voice will kind of be more seamless because I'm not giving as much intensity to the chest voice as I have before in the past. So because it's less intense, the head voice doesn't seem as soft because everything's kind of leveling out with intensity. And scientifically speaking, when you sing in your head voice or your falsetto, your vocal folds vibrate differently. So as a result, it's going to be softer than your chest voice. So it's not going to be the same power necessarily as your chest voice. Now you can develop your head voice, falsetto and everything to really give it some power. I did it before. I studied as a male soprano classically when I was in grad school or finishing grad school. I studied male soprano, and so what I did was I sung soprano in church for like a year and a half, but I sung head voice the whole time. I sung falsetto the whole time. I didn't really belt. Though I can belt soprano, I chose not to because I want to develop my head voice, you know, so, but still my head voice has a different texture than my chest voice, but they're both strong. So it just comes to show you that you can develop both registrations and all registrations, you know, it just depends on how you condition your voice.
Something different, still don't know what I was missing. What you asked, I would've given. It ain't right how these hoes be winning. Why they?
So can I say something about Jazmine real quick? I know we talk about her still, but I want to talk about Jazmine's body position. You know, everybody talks about the diaphragm this, and you gotta push that and everything. But if you notice, Jazmine is not standing up straight like this, you know, torso. You know, she's just standing there singing. She's just standing there singing, but she's still singing the way she is here. Now, like I said, she's gifted, so there's a level of divine intervention, if you will, or divine gifting that they both have. But Jazmine is not, you know, standing there, you know, flat-footed, torso up and thinking about, she is just singing and she is performing. I think some people forget to just sing and they're so focused on, I gotta have my technique right, I gotta have my technique. Now, of course, have your technique right. Of course, have your technique sound, solid, let us support what you do. But at the end of the day, we want to hear a song. We want to hear your voice. We want to be moved by something. We want to enjoy the experience, not so much, oh, does she place her palette right? Does she do, you know? So I love the fact that Jazmine's body language is like, I'm just out here singing from my heart. I'm singing from experience. I'm singing from my pen, whatever she's singing from, you know, and she's just standing there singing. She's not thinking about, I got to be up straight. I got to make sure. She's just singing, you know, so the articulation is different. How she's saying stuff is different. Even her, she's sitting down with a guitar, but the same thing. She's not like robotically playing. She's really sitting there vibing. They're both vibe with each other, playing off of each other vocally, but they're both just kind of standing there flat-footed, raw, genuine singing because they're singing about something. They're singing about a story, so it's really coming off in how they both present themselves in the song.
How come they be winning? Why they be? And I ain't wanna be, but you gon' make a hoe out of me. Y'all niggas be making us sad. This day you don't know how we made it. So we started feel like we don't care. Cause y'all niggas be taking us sad.
Jazmine got some range, okay? She's up there. This is not low. She's singing up there and she's belting it. You know, she got up there, and she's kind of vibing with her and kind of supporting what Jazmine's doing. She's taking back over the song at this point. So Jazmine, once again, her jaw is lifted and extended a little bit, and she just kind of vibing off, but you notice they're listening to each other because they're saying words the same. They're not sisters. They're probably sisters as friends and things like that, but they're not blood related as far as I know. And so what they're doing is being great musicians and singing with each other and listening to each other and understanding what each other is doing. So you know they practice this, but there's also a level of spontaneity to this performance as well that they're really giving here. And I really think that they're really listening to each other. So they're shaping their vowels, their consonants, everything the same. They're kind of shaping the sound the same in terms of how they're approaching the sound resonance wise and other things like that. So I really think this is working for them.
Us to the core. You must want something different.
So that run from Jazmine coming all the way up to all the way back down and then popping right back up, that is control. That was skill. That was intentionality. But her is listening to Jazmine and Jazmine is listening to her, and so they're really understanding how each other is going, and they're kind of just going like a wave, you know, they're kind of vibing off of each other. You know, they're not really over singing one another. They're really balancing each other out, you know, for the sake of the song and for the sake of clarity of the music. And it's working great for them.
Know what I was missing, what you asked, I would have given. It ain't right how these hoes be winning, wanting. Nothing to do with a girl like me. How can they be winning? Yeah, and I ain't wanna be, but you gon' make a whole out of me.
So that little part right there, that harmonized step up, now that was, you know, very intentional right there. It almost reminded me a little of like a Karen and Dorinda type thing, how they may do something like that possibly. I don't know, just that little lick right there reminded me of like a little more Karen and Dorinda in context of how they shaped that little step up thing that they did right there. And I love that, once again, they're not overpowering each other. They're really complimenting each other in this song. So when H.E.R's going somewhere, Jazmine kind of pulls back, but when Jazmine kind of takes over, H.E.R kind of pulls back. Those are signs of great musicians. They're listening. They're not just overpowering and singing. Because you've heard people do duets and they be like, both of them are just yelling at you, you know? So they're not doing that. They're really understanding what each other's doing. They're amazing musicians. You can tell they've been together with this song for a while, but still, even in the spontaneity of this performance, there is a level of musicianship that they're exhibiting because of the many things they're doing with their voices, with the music. They just got a guitar, and I think maybe a bass guitar, another guitar behind them at this point. You know, other musicians are starting to come in right here, but they're really just vibing off of each other and really having a good time singing.
Oh, I'll be, yeah, that's what you wanted, that's what you get. A whole I'll be, yeah, look what you did, kid. Yeah, oh, I'll be.
So right there, she was kind of doing a little more talk singing, kind of speech singing, you know, kind of with that point that she was doing. She kind of do a little more talk speech singing, or speak singing, some of us call it. Or you can almost call it a recitative. A recitative is basically like a classical term that means like I'm singing with the tempo of talking. So it's almost like, instead of like having a definitive tempo or rhythm or time signature that you follow, the musician and musicians are following the singer in terms of how they are saying this part of the song, in terms of the tempo at which people speak. So it's almost like I got the notes for singing, but the tempo and the duration that I use these notes can somewhat fall on the artists themselves, because the tempo that they're using is more so like if I were speaking versus like 4/4 or a waltz or things like that, if that makes sense. So Jazmine did a little bit of recit right there, kind of speak singing. You know, musical theater may call it something different, but it's all the same thing pretty much, okay?
See what you did to me. Oh, yeah.
I love how they're both now vibing to the music, and now that H.E.R is released from the guitar, she's really breathing into the song and really leaning into the song almost with the musicians coming in. She stopped playing, and now she just kind of just vibing out with Jazmine, and they're kind of once again complimenting each other with the spontaneity of the runs that they're doing, you know, so they're kind of echoing each other a little bit, you know, and it's working, you know, because the musicians are coming in to support what they're doing. So now H.E.R is released from having to play and sing, and just be able to just vibe out and sing and have fun with Jazmine even more. Like this is a little bit of church in a person. I'm just churchy, this is why. But then she come like come with that harmony. It's very like group singing in church, you know. But she started scatting right there. Those were scatting things right there that they were doing. The syllables and the whatever she was doing. I'm probably messing with some of the notes, but that was scatting. So if you want to know what scatting is, look up Ella Fitzgerald. You'll know exactly what scatting is. She's one of the best scatter. No, she is the best scatter on this planet. In my humble opinion, she's one of my favorite jazz artists, Ella Fitzgerald. So Jazmine was taking a little bit of Ella right there and kind of scatting a little bit, and H.E.R came right on in and kind of harmonized with her. Once again, complimenting each other. And so that's what they're doing here at this point. They're really complimenting each other. And now it's less of this and more of this. They're kind of with each other now. Now the musicians are back in and the song is kind of over, so to speak. They're not doing so much more of like coming in and out and you know, whatever. They're really kind of coming together and vibing together and rolling together at this point.
I'm going out, I'm doing me. I'm going out and doing me. I got the club and run a bus. Don't give a fuck. And what you want to do is me. I'm doing me. You wanna know? Oh, I'm big.
Whatever she did, she up there a little bit with that little head voice thing she got going on. Come on, Jazmine. All right. And what I love about her in this song is that she didn't try to be somebody she was not, and Jabs didn't try to be somebody she was not. They both were themselves artistically, musically, but it still complemented each other. And it was really nice how they worked together. This song was like perfect for the both of their voices to really come together for this collaboration. It was great. It was great. Once again, I appreciate y'all subscribing and watching the video. So if you have more requests, new requests, put them in the comments below and let me know. And before you go, click subscribe down below and then click the alert button next to it so you know when the next video is posted. Be vocally bold, creative, and aware, but most of all, be vocally you. All right, y'all.